Today's episode of Python Papi, we're back inside our small contracts project, and we're still doing our Web3Py favorites module. Let's have a look at what we're going over today. Yesterday, if you recall, we ran our favorites.py file, and we actually returned back our hex code that was inside of our favorites.py file. Now we're going to go over some information, see exactly what that is, and what we did moving forward. So this is our return. This is what it will look like. You remember we had the hex code. This is it here. So this is what our entire return hex code will look like when we compile the favorites.py file. This is the raw code that actually gets into Ethereum when we compile our favorites.py file, whatever chain we're running on. Let me see here. Now this is what actually gets sent to the blockchain. Everything inside of our favorites.py file is just human readable text. The hex code that we get returned when we compile is what actually gets into the blockchain. The next section we'll be going over is isolated virtual environments and UV2 install. Isolated virtual environments use the UV2 install. So we'll be going over what we just did by using a UV2 install Viper, which we did to install a Viper compiler onto our machine. Using Python, we were probably more used to just saying pip install to get our packages brought to our machine. But using UV, we would say something like UV add, and then we would use the name of the actual library that we want to add. So that's one of the differences that we would use between a pip and a UV. And the reason is because it will work perfectly fine if we use a pip. However, we would only be installing the packages into our active environment, whereas the UV method will install the package inside its own isolated environment. Now let's explain what that is. When we use pip install to install packages, we are only installing a package inside of our active environment, which means no other versions of Python or environments outside of the one we just installed the package into will have access to the package because there was a specific install for that specific version. And this is why it's better to use the UV tool to install packages in most cases. This is because the package goes into an isolated environment that we can point to with whatever version of Python we're using. So basically what that means is instead of just installing a pip install into that one version of Python that we're using, we can use a UV tool to install a package and then have all of our projects point to that environment so everything can be synced using that UV environment that we had just created using that UV tool. So basically, that's pretty much the difference between a pip install and UV install. And we're going to be going over some more differences and use cases as we move forward. But of course, I will keep you posted every step of the way. For now, it's the Python Papi. You guys stay Gucci.